I'm Chad Grevalese with Aerolite TV and your host of the show, Connect Up. If you're looking to gain traction in your career or business, you're at the right place because here we talk about connection. You need to know how to connect with the right people in the right way so you can build valuable relationships that lead you to career success. We have conversations about how to find your voice in your career. I interview communication experts, time and focus masters, and everyday people who have stories to tell of challenges overcome, goals achieved, and how their inner and outer communication and ultimately their relationships accelerated their progress and elevated their journey. Success in life is just a collection of the right conversations with yourself and others. Connect up to a better version of yourself. Connect up to your goals and a brighter future. Disconnect from the things that are holding you back and connect your way to where you want to be. All the women listeners and viewers out there today are going to love this episode because in my conversation today with Petia Kolibova, we learn how to better connect with ourselves, which is the first key step to being able to connect with other people. She's a women's coach, a mind, body, and soul transformation guide, a meditation teacher, a fitness and wellness expert, a body love advocate, and a lifestyle entrepreneur. She helps women create a life that feels fulfilling on the inside and not just one that looks good on the outside. So we talk about self-worth today, and we talk about how to better love ourselves through becoming aware of our inner talk. And Petia, she shares with us some really actionable tips on how to create boundaries. And she discusses the main things that hold women back from being fulfilled and finding success. Most importantly, you're going to learn how to develop a strong mind. I love that word strong. It's a word that we all want to believe that we are. It's a word that we all want to embrace as a part of our life. If you're interested in learning more about how to connect with yourself and how to connect with others, be sure to check out my free class called Communicate Now. It's every Wednesday and it's online, so it doesn't matter where you live. You just join through a Zoom link. And the link to register for that class will be in the show notes at aerolite.tv/connectup. And so get ready to take some notes. If you're driving or something else, make sure to go back to this episode afterwards. You can look at the transcript on the website and pull some key points from it because we're going to discuss some really actionable things today for how you can develop a strong mind, how you can better connect with yourself. So I welcome to the show, Petia Kolibova.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here today with you.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. I want to first hear about your career transition and a little bit about your story of how you are where you are now in your career, because you went through a transition. We want to hear about that. We want to hear about why you went through that transition and why you're doing what you're doing today.
Definitely. Thank you so much for asking. So I started working when I moved here in the United States as marketing research analyst, and then I got my first job in the office. And part of the job was managing social media. And what I was taught before, it's create a product and put it online and somebody will want it. And I was doing it and I didn't see any interaction. And because in that time, this company was fitness company who was creating custom bikini suits for competitors like fitness shows and bodybuilders. And in that time, I was competing myself. When people were commenting on the post that we made, I went to their accounts and I see who they are, what they are doing. And I started to create new and different connections. I stopped just posting our products. I went the extra step and I started to create relationship because I've been there. I knew how they feel when they're hungry, when they're frustrated, when they're tired. I'm like, hey girl, have you tried this when you have a cravings? Hey, have you tried to wash your suit this way? And suddenly I started to notice our followers were increasing. And not just that, the people that I started to have conversation and build relationships, they're starting to buy from us. So I'm like, that was the first time in my life that I really realized the importance of the relationship. So it was 3 years ago when I left that company. I got fired. And in that time, I already had 2 clients for social media marketing. that they hired me because I was talking with them on social media. And so I got my two first clients, and that's how I became entrepreneur by accident. And I saw the power of the relationships. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Let me build a better world by managing other people's account so they can go out there and doing what they really love. Well, it sounded amazing. It sounded great on the paper, and it didn't work. It didn't work because when I started to do the work for others, instead of them going even deeper and connecting, they disconnected. They disconnected from going live. They disconnected from doing their stories that I was suggesting, because that's how people will see who you really are. So I was really disappointed, and it took me way too long and way too many thousands and thousands of dollars of loss until I realized that this is not the way. And along that, I created such a beautiful and deep relationship with some of my clients when I was coaching them. So it's not about building numbers on social media. It's about building the presence of who you really are. So people can either say heck yes or heck no. I am not middle person. I'm not for everybody. And thankfully now I realize it. So in that time I realized, when I'm coaching people, it has better results because they have to do the work. So that's how I transitioned. I let go of my social media marketing company, and now I'm a life coach for millennial women who are just a little bit pissed off. But pissed off enough to go and do something about their life, their beliefs, because they know they're not where they want to be.
That's amazing. You had, what you did was you treated those people on social media as people, and you connected to them in a way that, so let's just, I want to talk about social media for a second, because I've worked for businesses as well, kind of managing social media related to video related stuff. And it's very easy to get caught up in the numbers on social media. 100,000 likes, 100,000 followers, whatever. But what you did was that you're like, let me actually talk to them like they're actual people on the other end, because they really are. And you did something that's key to building relationships, which is you just cared. You cared about them as a person. You saw them as a person, even if you didn't have a face to the name exactly, or you're like, all I have is this name here, or with this tiny little thumbnail. You're like, this is a real person, so I'm going to share with them about my journey. I'm going to help them of what they're struggling with. And like you said, they turned into clients. Some of them turned into customers. And so when we don't care about the numbers and the sales, we treat people as people, we end up getting taken care of, and we can advance in our career, and it kind of comes back to us, but it really starts by taking care of people. So thank you for caring about people.
Absolutely. And it's beautiful because it came to me kind of intuitively. Because when you think about it, most of the time we do others what we want them to do. And the biggest frustration is when you realize that not everybody it's like you, not everybody sees the world like you. However, I remember when I was growing up, my aunt always told me, treat people how you want to be treated. I don't want to be treated like a number. I don't want to be followed and unfollowed. I don't want to be one of many. Like, when I started my social media marketing company, there were some people online that I truly love and followed. And the difference why I bought all of their courses or all of their products, because there's so many people who are selling like all of the time something, but if I connect with a person, I love them for who they are. And I don't care if they're selling t-shirt, online program, retreat. I will buy everything. I'll put it on my credit card. I will do anything to support them because I love them. Like, I don't know if you know Jasmine Star. She's from California. She's a photographer and a business strategist. And I started very little with her. I just bought one of her online courses. It was like $60. And I ended up meeting her in California in a conference. And then I bought her a course that was $1,000. Like I would buy anything from her because first of all, she always over delivers the value. And second of all, I love how real, raw she is. And she always says, I will either attract or repel people. And when I met her the first time, and she has like, let's say, I know we are not talking about numbers, but she has like over 200,000 followers. Okay. She's super popular. She's beautiful soul. But when I met her at the conference, she was in the room. I came early just to see her. She was there with her husband. I walk into the room and I come to her like super nervous and I'm shaking. I was like, Jasmine. She looks at me. She's like, Petia. I'm like, holy, oh my God. Hey, I still have goosebumps. She knows who I am. Are you kidding me? Really? That's what makes a difference. I will do anything for her. I don't care. And I want to have the same impact of people. Not so they buy everything.
Mm-hmm.
They can, don't get me wrong. If you love what I'm doing, I will always over deliver value because that's what I believe in. My clients, I truly, truly love them. And it's beautiful. Once you know what do you stand for, what are your values, what is non-negotiable for you, everything will change in your business. Because there will be times that you will be scared to death because you are not making the money that to pay the bills. However, if you do things that you truly love and you are fulfilled, people will feel that. My clients are my best business card. I can connect you with any of my clients and they will sell me on the instant without me telling them anything because I know they truly love me and I truly am making difference in their lives because I really care.
That's very inspiring. I love what you said that your clients are your business card. I want everyone to just kind of think about that for a second, that the people in your network are your business card, are your website, are all of it. And even if you don't own a business and you work for another company, the people in your network are the very thing that are going to, that is your most valuable resource and asset that you have. Like, we spend so much time sometimes trying to design the perfect business card or the perfect logo and all this stuff. But what you're saying is the people in our network, the people that we're connected to are the most important thing, and that needs to be prioritized above everything else. I want to kind of talk about, for all of you coach women, and for all of our women listeners, I want to ask you, what is something that women struggle with the most that you've found that kind of hold them back from career success and or kind of life success and balance?
Thank you so much. Because this question, it's not asked or answered often enough. And it goes hand in hand because like I mentioned to you before when we were talking, when I'm working with my women's clients, what I start with, it's transforming their beliefs, their limiting self-beliefs. No more running away, no more numbing, because we women, we're amazing in numbing. We will overeat, we will overwork out, we will overgive ourselves just so we don't have to be with ourselves. To answer your question, two things that are stopping women in their life and in their business, because it's the same: self-love and self-worth. They don't feel they're worthy enough. They don't feel they're deserving enough. The way I was raised back in Czech Republic is be everything for everyone so I can deserve to get a little bit love. We are raised to be good employees. We are raised to be good wives. We are raised to be good moms. We're not raised to love ourselves because that's not important. That's being selfish. So it took me almost 30 years to realize that if I don't start with myself, nothing else will work. I was looking for the change, the happiness on the outside. I was thinking if I lose 10 pounds, I will feel better. When I find a perfect dream partner, I will be better. Once I'm making $15,000 every single month in my business, I will be better. Once there is $5,000 in my account, I will feel better. None of it ever made me feel better because those were band-aids. But it's really about self-love and worthiness and knowing what you believe in. What are your values? I always give an exercise to my clients to do.
Mm-hmm.
Write down on one part the things you don't stand for. On other side, what do you stand for? The minimum it's 20. What I don't stand for, it's lying. What I stand for, it's honesty. What I don't stand for is cheating. What I stand for, it's loyalty. What I don't stand for, it's hate. What I stand for, it's love. And you go on and on and on. And then I tell them, okay, now you pick 4 of what you stand for. When they pick those 4, they found their core values. I don't care if you are my lover, if you're my client, if you're my best friend, if you're my family. If you don't align with my 4 core values, you're not in my life. I might love you from very, 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 very far away, but you're not going to be in my close circle. So women get to realize they're worthy, they're deserving, and self-love, it's a must on every single day because you are certain and confident about who you are.
That's a really great exercise to just write what you stand for, write what you don't stand for. I think that's really important too, because we need to know what we don't stand for as much as we do what we do stand for, because that's how we create the strongest boundaries. You talked about boundaries a little bit ago, so I'm going to kind of circle back a little bit because I think there's a connection between all the things you're saying. You said how self-worth, self-love is something that women struggle with the most, and anyone that's held back in their life or career is struggling with that on some level. And you gave us an exercise that can help with our figuring out what our values are. What's something else that you have done that has helped you to improve your self-worth? Because we talk about self-love, we talk about self-worth, but sometimes it's easier said than done to love yourself, right? So what's something that's just super tangible that's like, this is something that can help you love yourself more?
Absolutely. So there are couple things that I did. It's a mirror work. I don't know if you heard of it, the mirror work. And I remember first time when I heard about it 8 years ago from Louise Hay. I was in such a dark place in my life. Like, I was here in the United States. I was alone and no family, no friends yet. I was suffering with eating disorder for almost 18 years. I hated my life. I hated my body. And I didn't have no reason to wake up in the morning. I'm like, why? Why will I do this over and over again? And so I realized in that moment that if I don't change something, I'm just slowly killing myself. So I went online and I was asking Uncle Google, like, how can I feel better? How can I feel happy? How can I be positive? And I found a video of Louise Hay, and she said in one of the parts, go to the mirror and say, I love you. I really, really love you. I didn't even get to the mirror because I don't even like myself. I'm like, wow. That was kind of my aha moment when I realized that I am looking for the satisfaction and approval on the outside. And how dare I to tell my partners, my family, my friends, my clients to love me if I don't love myself? And the next thing that I'm doing, I never ever miss my morning routine. That's a non-negotiable for me because I'm a strong believer that you either run your day or your day runs you, like Jim Rohn said. Now I wake up, I meditate, I make my morning shake, my tea or coffee, bring it back to my bed, I journal, I read, I write, and what will also help you, it's write the things that you have accomplished. We take things for granted. Like when I tell someone I got my bachelor in 8 months and my master's in 6 months, they're like, oh my gosh, how did you do that? Well, because I really wanted it. I wanted it so bad. And do you think that I like acknowledge myself for it? No, because I'm already done with it.
Mhm.
So write down the list of at least 20 accomplishments. It will help you with your confidence, with the way how you carry yourself, with the way how you talk with people, and you will just repel the people who don't belong in your world.
Wow, that is very helpful. The mirror exercise, the morning routine is so, so key. When I made my own shift in my career and in my life, because I was stressed all the time, I had anxiety attacks, I was just worrying about a lot of things. I fixed my morning routine first before anything else, and for months, that's all I focused on. I was still kind of my same out of sorts self throughout the rest of the day, but I was committing to my morning routine. It changed everything. I felt more focused. I wasn't as tired as much. That is so important to get a morning routine in place. You do feel more confident, and your love for yourself increases. Then you're able to contribute more to the world and to other people. That is key. I had a question about so the mirror exercise. I've heard of that before, and it is very helpful. And it can. I guarantee that there are a few people that are like, "Oh, that's cheesy. How's that going to work?" Well, it works. But one thing I want to ask you is, how do you push through the feeling of fakeness when you start doing it? Because when you look in front of a mirror and you say "I love you," but you don't believe it yet, it's going to feel fake. How do you push through that fakeness?
I don't believe in pushing. So where you start, it's I am willing to accept myself as I am right now. That's how you start. Because what happens is we are looking for that approval on the outside from others. But other people are just going to be reflection of who you are and how you treat yourself. I would really start with the mirror, because if you cannot tell yourself, hey, you did a really great job today, thank you for showing up. You can say it in the morning, or you can just say it at night. Just imagine you come to the mirror at night and say, hey, Chad, you did really amazing job today. You didn't feel like in the morning and you still woke up and went to work. Great job. You really felt like eating that huge muffin and instead you just had your protein bar. Chad, I'm so proud of you. You didn't feel like editing this video and you did it anyway. Thank you for showing up. Acknowledge the things you have done for yourself. And when you do it in front of the mirror, it's like someone else is saying it to you. So you're getting the satisfaction of somebody is appreciating you. And second, you are reprogramming your mind to really see how good you are. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to show up.
Gotcha. That's perfect. That makes a lot of sense. That you just have to be more specific with yourself. That saying "I love you," do that. That's great. But you also said a lot of really specific things. You referenced specific things in your day that you were proud of, that you accomplished. And being specific, it seems like, does help you get through that fakeness, so that you can keep doing it until it does transform your mind. Because as you're saying that, the voice is coming out of your mouth. It's bouncing off the mirror. It's coming back into your ears. You're hearing your own voice. And over time, it's just going to start rewiring your beliefs until you really do believe it. And you're like, wow, I actually love myself now. I accept myself, like you said. And that is completely key. What's one thing that we can do to set up more boundaries for ourselves? I want to go back to what you mentioned a while ago. You set up boundaries with your clients, but boundaries is an issue with, all of us a lot of the time, even if we're not in like a client relationship. So how do you suggest, especially women, anyone that listens to this show can apply, but especially women, how do you suggest we can set up more boundaries so that, because that's just, like, if I think of the women in my life, they're very caring, but they've kind of, my own mother and everything, I think of her as like kind of she spent a lot of her life caring about others to the point of sacrificing her own boundaries. And now it's all starting to kind of come back and be like, wow, I'm really overwhelmed by all of this. So what's something we can do to set up those boundaries?
Two things. I like lists, you can tell. The first thing would be really what I told you before. What do you stand for? What do you don't stand for? And what are your core values? Because if someone it's not aligned with your core values, don't let them in your life. Because if they truly love you and care about you, they will respect it because they really want you to be happy. So knowing what are your core values, and when I realized that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I let go some people and I created more space for some amazing relationships, more clients, more abundance, more prosperity. If you don't feel amazing in your life, if you are not earning the money that you want to be earning, it's time to clear the space around you. Clean up your room, clean up your office, and clean up the people. Because it's only when we create more space, more can come, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first place where I would start, really. What do I stand for? What do you don't stand for? What are your core values? And the second thing, it's really, really tapping into how you feel. Because for me, I'm in a place in my life that it's heck yes or heck no. And don't overthink it. When you speak with a person, within first 5 seconds, Stop making excuses for them. Oh, maybe just need the time. Maybe I'm the one who is going to save them. Maybe they just need the help. We got to give a chance to others. No, trust yourself. If it's not heck yes, if you don't go for it, like I want it, this is it, then it's no. In my relationship where I am, it was heck yes. In the clients that I'm coaching right now, it was heck yes. I didn't know how deep, how far, how long it will go, but I love them from the very first day that I aligned talk with them. So really learn to trust yourself. And whatever it's not heck yes, it's heck no, let them go. Because if people cannot understand and respect you, why the heck you would want people like that in your life? Really?
You're bold. I mean, you're bold to know when to say heck yes and when to say heck no. And it seems like a lot of us that don't have those boundaries, we're afraid of doing that. We're almost afraid of giving a really excited yes, as much as we are a really bold no. And when we can get a grip on our yeses and our nos, it seems that's when we can start to develop those boundaries for ourselves.
It's so empowering. Like once you realize, and trust me, this is something that I keep working on. It's not like you will say heck yes, heck no, and you're feeling amazing. It's a practice. It takes time. And just start with the little things. Does this feel right or not? If they mess up your coffee in a coffee shop, don't feel bad to go return it. Don't do it like like a bad person or being mean. Just go like, hey, I really love the coffee you're making here, guys. It tastes a little bit different today. Is there any way we can redo it, or can I get something different? If you don't love it, please don't do it. Life is too short.
Definitely, it is. I wanted to go inward a little bit into our head. I'm really a strong believer in how our inner communication, or the way that we talk to ourselves on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, affects the way we communicate with other people, affects our ability to build trust and build relationships with people. It affects our happiness. It affects our ability to manage our stress. It affects our perspective. It affects the way we express ourselves, all of the choices we make, our actions, and ultimately turns around and affects our entire results and experiences in our life. What are 1 to 2 tips that you have for how we can manage that inner communication?
And I'm so happy you're bringing that up, because what happens is we are usually our own worst self-critics, and we have such a bad self-talk, and it really reflects in everything in our life around us. So I always invite people to start talking with themselves and being aware how they talk with themselves, like they would talk with their best friend, or who do they really love. Because I can guarantee you, the self-talks that I had years ago with myself, I wouldn't wish to my worst enemy. Like, you're stupid, why you're doing this, why you're doing that, like why didn't you spend more time, you're lazy, why didn't you go work out, why you're eating this, you'll be fat. And it's so bad. Would you ever say this to your best friend or your kid or someone who you truly love? You wouldn't. And then you're doing it to yourself. So when you can, usually we cannot stop our first thought. You can always reframe the second one, you know.
Hmm.
So be more compassionate, be more gentle with yourself, be patient with yourself, and just do your best in every single moment. Because when you do your best, every day it will be different. Some days you're tired, some days you're anxious, some what you're not feeling good. It will be different every single day. But hey, today I really gave my best, and that's enough. Good, it's good enough. Don't try to be perfect. Don't try to impress people. Just show up.
That's a really great evaluation to ask yourself. Uh, if I wouldn't say this to my best friend, then why would I say it to myself? That's a really great way to, because sometimes it's like it's hard to think about, well, what's bad to say to myself and what's good, because there's a lot of things that kind of blur that line and are in that gray area. But it's very easy to know that when you imagine yourself being like, would I talk like this to my best friend? Would I talk like this to my children? Would I talk like this to my spouse? If and most of the time the answer is absolutely not. I would never say that to my friend. That works, and that really helps us to get a grip on that inner dialogue.
The most important thing is having the awareness, because once you're aware of something, you can change it, and you can change it anytime, any moment, to something that feels good.
So how do you get aware of that self-talk? Because I've talked to people before, that have no idea that they have self-talk because they're not listening. What's something we can do that like helps us to all of a sudden hear it and become aware of it?
I would just, what you can, if you're, because so often we disconnect from ourselves, like you said, we don't listen. What really helps is to ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? Because if you're feeling amazing, keep doing whatever you're doing. If you're not feeling as great, just get curious about it. Don't judge it. I ask myself, I wonder, why am I not feeling good? Oh yeah, this client, she was late. Why that triggers me? Oh, because I think she doesn't respect me, so she doesn't see the value in me. So maybe I should tell her, like, I suck because I'm not strong enough to tell people what I think. Like, really get curious, be wondering about what's going on. And that's how you will start hearing again, because you will really connect with yourself again. So get curious, not judgmental. Don't judge what's going on. Don't make assumptions, but just get curious.
Mm. That's great. Just get curious. I like the word curious because curiosity is a very neutral word. There's really not a whole lot of emotion attached to that word, but it does get things going and it gets you leaning in. And so I like that you brought that up, and how you put that in the question of how do I feel right now. That is a really great way. Yeah, I never considered like that question specifically. Really starts bringing up some of that self-talk, because you start with the way you feel. I feel like this. Why do I feel like this? And before you know it, you're having this interview with yourself and you're discovering how you think about yourself and how you feel. That's really helpful. You talk a lot about developing a strong mind. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what does it mean to have a strong mind? And then what can we do to obtain a strong mind?
So a few months ago, I just branded what I'm doing. It's be strong minded, and it's not just about like be strong minded. It's be that strong that minded. The be comes from being present. That's the spirituality. That's the connection with yourself and with others. It's being, because so often as entrepreneurs, we are acting like human doings instead of human beings. So I bring people back into the present moment. It's the strong connection. It's being really confident in who you are. Be strong in what you believe in your values, without pushing anyone into it. Show it, live it. Don't force other people, don't push other people. Be strong and confident into who you are, what you believe in, and be the living example of it. And the mind, that comes to the mindset. Like, I strongly believe that mindset is everything in our life. It's really about developing strong mindset. For me, it's always learning. I will be always a student. I will always be curious. I think that you guys take it like a negative word, but I brainwash myself. Because when I used to work in the office where I didn't want to be, like I didn't want to be listening to the yapping of the people who are complaining and not happy with their life, because I feel people's energy. Like you do it too. When somebody comes through the door, you can say if they're in amazing mood or if they're crappy or if they're depressed. If we like it or not, our energies are louder than our words. So what happened is I started to tune out everything around me, and I started to brainwash myself with reading, listening, audiobooks. I don't have TV for I don't know how many years. I don't care. I don't need it. Just like I realized I was like a Netflix addict, like hours and hours and hours, because I feel like I have no life. So I was living other people's life through the screen. Now, I choose not to do that because I love my life. I love where I am. So if you really want to be your best self and be strong-minded, take care of yourself first. Be present in the moment. Take care of your body, your nutrition, and then take care of your mind. Rewire it again.
Wow. Well, Petia, everything you shared with us today absolutely will help us have a strong mind. I feel as if my mind is stronger just by having a conversation with you, which means that you're on it. I mean, you're doing what you teach, and I love how you said we need to be human beings instead of human doings. I've never heard that before, but I'm definitely going to pass that on. It's true that we need to be present. We need to be aware of ourselves, and we need to have our mind, talking about mindset, we need to have our mind set on our values, set on loving ourselves, set on loving others, set on connecting with others. And as we're doing that and always learning, as you just told us about, listening to podcasts, reading books, we're activating our mind and we're pumping our mind full of all this good stuff that's going to leave no room for all that negative, and it's going to squeeze that negative right out. And so it sounds like, just to kind of, if I were to put into words kind of one thing that everything you taught us today will help us accomplish, is to better connect with ourselves. And connecting with ourselves is the first step to connecting with others. And so I know that if everyone applies what you learned today, you will better connect with yourself. How can we connect with you if we want to learn more about you? Because I'm sure people who have watched this episode want to follow up with you, want to connect with you, and want to learn more from you. So where can they go?
I love how you put it all together, connect all the dots of connecting. You're absolutely right. So first of all, thank you for everything you're doing. I love that you're connecting people again together and really showing them the value of real relationships and real connections. So for those people who want to connect with me, they can find my podcast on iTunes, and that's Be Strong Minded. And I will send you the links later on too. So it's a Be Strong Minded. On my Facebook, I'm Petia Kolibova. And my Instagram, it's be.strong.minded. And for those who would love to learn more on my coaching, when I do one-on-one coaching, and I'm also launching 90-day transformational program, and I'm looking for beta testers. So right now it's the time to reach out to me because it's incredible. And you can just email me at petia@bestrongminded.com.
Perfect. Thanks. All those links will be up on the screen and also in our show notes. Thank you so much for coming on our show today, Petia.
Thank you. It was amazing. I appreciate you. You have a great day.
Well, I hope all you women out there took notes, because Petia gave you really specific exercises that you can do today to increase your self-worth and find more fulfillment. Even if you're a man, do what she said. Because we as well struggle with self-worth. We as well struggle with self-value. If we're not progressing in our career, that's a self-worth issue. Everything from the mirror exercise to writing down what you stand for and what you don't stand for. You also learned how to create boundaries by determining your values and knowing when to say yes and when to say no. That is really important, but not saying anything in between. Just when to say yes and when to say no. That's how you create strong boundaries. You also learn the importance of cleaning up your space, cleaning up your office, cleaning up your home, and cleaning up your network. cleaning up the people in your life so that you have people that are supporting you and giving you energy and not taking it away. And so if you apply what you learned today, you will develop a strong mind. I guarantee you that.